everyone, and thank you so much for joining us in the One Conscious Love Network. For those of you that are not part of the Facebook group, the link will be in the comments after this call, and feel free to join. The community is all about sharing what One Conscious Love is for all of us. And like Brianna, I have beautiful practitioners, healers, coaches that share their expertise in the group in events as well as interviews. So I welcome you all into the group. And with that, Brianna, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone how is it that you're shedding your light in the world and what is your connection to divinity? What is your path to enlightenment?
Oh, thank you, Melanie. Lovely to be here and really lovely to be part of this group. There's such an amazing, rich network of people, and I love being part of that. My work is very much about coming together in groups. A lot of my work, although I do one-to-one coaching as well. I'm primarily a voice empowerment coach and a healer, and I work with energy healing and voice and sound. And I came to this practice and to this range of modalities through my own spiritual journey and my journey of well-being, recovering myself from chronic fatigue syndrome through voice practices and meditation and healing. And that has been my journey to divinity and to enlightenment, has been primarily through these two things, silence and song, the
Mhm.
energy of both meditation and inward connection, which is what was very central in my recovery from chronic fatigue syndrome. And also the energy of song and kind of opening the channel up with voice and energy and allowing, which has for me allowed great inward connection with guidance and spiritual energies through that connection.
So what took you down this path? You spoke a little bit briefly about what, you had the chronic fatigue syndrome and what kind of directed you into this world.
Into the voice and
Mhm.
spirit, the spiritual. Well, I was very ill with chronic fatigue syndrome, and I was living in London, and I was working as a filmmaker, and I was in a very stressful, high pressure job. And through that, when I became unwell with chronic fatigue syndrome, the doctor that I saw actually told me that I needed to learn to meditate. So that's what started me initially on that journey of starting to meditate and to turn inward. And then I was starting to explore my voice and to start to learn some of the conscious sound practices that I now teach in my courses and my retreats and my workshops and my coaching. But also, I went to a international conference called the Divinity of the Voice because I was drawn to this inner energy of spiritual singing and connection. And as I felt, as my voice was opening up, I felt that spiritual energy with the song. And so I went along to this conference, which was in Wales in the UK, which was called, as I said, the Divinity of the Voice. And through that, I met people who guided me to go and live in a spiritual community. And that's when my spiritual
Mhm.
journey really took off. So I was living in the Findhorn Foundation in Scotland for a few years.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. I didn't know that about you. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. If you were asked to share a powerful story or testimonial of transformation, what comes to mind for you?
Well, I think, my personal story is definitely a powerful story of transformation because I was very, very sick with chronic fatigue
Mhm.
syndrome and had very little energy and also was quite stressed and depressed as well at that time back in London. This is, 27, 28 years ago. But when that happened, the working with the voice and with meditation and with healing caused such a dramatic transformation in my life and started me strongly on the spiritual path. But also, now for the last 10, 15 years, I've been working in the same way that I work now with clients one-to-one and in group retreats and courses and spaces like that. And I have numerous testimonials from people who have worked with me who have really seen a dramatic transformation. And I can think of one woman who came to my retreat that I held in September here in the UK. And her husband had a heart problem,
Mhm.
and she was in an extremely stressed
Mm.
difficult situation at home, and she didn't know if she was going to be able to join us for the retreat, which was 3 days of deep sound work and singing and chanting and healing together. And she did come along, and she wrote to me afterwards saying the dramatic change that had
Mm.
happened in her ability to cope with her difficult life situation. So basically, through coming and exploring this spiritual focused voice work with me, she'd
Mhm.
become more resilient and more able to cope. And that I see that a lot with people. And I think,
So,
this title that you've got here, Awaken Divinity, I think that this is exactly, my method is through silence and song. And I think it's something that's accessible to everybody. We can all take a moment to really come down into a space of silence and then receive that guidance or receive that heart desire.
that's so beautiful. And I was just going to say on the resilience piece, that's such a big, important life skill. And I remember, before my own transformation, people talking about you need to build resiliency. And I actually don't think that I knew what they meant. I was just stressed and had depression, anxiety, all of these IBS, all of these conditions. And I didn't
Mm.
really understand what they meant. What is that resiliency? And so, from your perspective, like, how is that resiliency piece so important for your clients?
Mm. For me, in terms of my work, which is primarily with women, but also sometimes with men, the journey that I see them undergoing when we work together is that they definitely develop that resiliency, and it's a way of being able to depend more on themselves and a way also of having a stronger connection to source and to guidance and to their inner truth. And in the end, this resiliency and this strength of the inner knowing is the thing that will support them through all the changes and um, growth that they undergo in their lives. And I feel that, essentially it's a journey of self-love as well, a journey of accepting the self and embracing the self and connecting deeply with the inner energy, and it just strengthens our ability to navigate the changes of life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's a good way to explain it. Like, what does it mean? Because for those watching that are maybe suffering from those conditions that we know are based on the ability to cope, right? They can really see a path then to healing through your services. That's my
Mm,
hope. Hi, Mike.
yeah.
What makes your work unique and effective and deeply needed in today's world? And what is your approach on that?
I love that question. And I feel it's an extension of what we've just been talking about, because I think, I mean, I work with voice primarily and also with Reiki and with sound healing. But basically most people have a voice and they have this instrument and they have this tool, and the reason why my work is so effective is because it's accessible in that way. It's wide ranging, it's universal, and also the practices that I teach and the methods and the exercises that I share in my coaching and my courses is very easy to follow and accessible, but also hugely uplifting and enjoyable. And it boosts the energy and it makes people feel good. A lot, we start off our practices with using the voice for humming. And science shows us that this reduces stress, reduces the heart rate, and increases serotonin and dopamine in the body. So, it's physiological shifts that really make a difference. So, yeah, my work feels good. It helps people feel good, but also it really does cause greater clarity in the mind and greater resilience and greater strength, and also greater spiritual awareness of yourself. I think when we free up the blocks that we have in our energy field through voice work, through meditation, through healing, we really allow the flow of life to be greater in our lives. And, I think that is deeply needed in today's world. And I see so many people who are starting out on the spiritual path or coming to a place of transition and change in their life. And they often really respond strongly to my work.
Mm, for sure. Oh, that's so beautiful. When you went through it yourself, like when you bring yourself back to all those years ago, what was the biggest shift that you first noticed in yourself?
When I came through the challenge, yeah, the time of transition, the biggest shift I noticed in myself was getting in touch with a sense of inner silence and an inner peace. That was the first most dramatic thing, because before this, this is a long time ago now, but before that, there had been a lot of mental noise in my experience. And the shift was that as I started to meditate and as I started to use my voice for healing, I connected with a deep well of inner peace and inner silence. And that was the biggest change.
That's so beautiful. I love it. I love it. We'll share all of your links with everyone watching, but is there anything else you wanted to share today?
Oh, thank you, Melanie. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak about the spiritual aspect of my work and the spiritual aspect, which is really the spiritual foundation of my work, because,
Mm,
I feel that I mean, I yesterday someone bought a place on my upcoming 5 week voice immersion, which starts in 2.5 weeks. Someone just bought a ticket on that, and I was sharing with her about the spiritual aspect of the course,
mm,
and she said that was what had sold the course to her, was the
mm,
fact that it's within that spiritual framework. And even though I hadn't anticipated that coming from her necessarily, it spoke to me that in fact there is that need in people for this spiritual nourishment and the spiritual awareness.
yeah. Yeah, I certainly would echo that for sure. For me, when I started to do my even just connecting to my spiritual chakras and my practice, I really started noticing the connection to divinity and beyond and others and the plants and the animals and everything that's
Yeah,
alive around us. And
absolutely.
it really was a first experience for me because I grew up very much without the without really much exposure to divinity at all. And so it was quite realization that we're so much greater and bigger than ourselves. It was a really beautiful, beautiful experience for me. And I know that it can be for so many people watching as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Really beautiful. And I think it feeds us on a really deep level, you know.
I agree
Yeah.
100%. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you all for watching, and your links will be in the comments. So please, everyone, check it out, reach out, and make a new friend and learn. And who knows, maybe you'll be the next in your 5-week class.
Yeah. Yeah. It's coming up on November the 14th,
That's
American time
awesome.
zone. Yeah.
Awesome. It's perfect timing just before the holidays to prep
Yeah.
ourselves to be more strong and more resilient.
Yeah. And to strengthen the voice. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's
For
beautiful.
healing. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we will see
Thank
you
you.
all soon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.